We're in the atrium at St. Mary's University on the third floor of the atrium. Below us is an area where students can engage in conversation or play board games, do group work. There's a little coffee shop over there as well. The library is this way and the living wall is right behind me. St. Mary's University used to be part of the Roman Catholic Church. In 1970, though, it became a public institution, a public secular institution like all the other public secular institutions. It kept its name, and that can be a little confusing. Some people think we're still a religious university, but I think keeping the name was part of the deal by which the province came to have the university. Now, universities have various functions and purposes. They prepare young people to take their place in the managerial and professional elites of a society. They supply graduates with credentials that prospective employers or graduate schools can look at. They generate research. They create culture, sports and entertainment. They promote the values of the societies in which they exist, and cynics will tell you that they keep young people out of the job force for a few years, and that reduces unemployment. My name is Mark Mercer, and I'm a professor of philosophy here at St. Mary's, and I've been here for about 20 years. In these lectures, I'm going to describe and explain what universities these days do and how they do it. Much in my talks will be factual. I'm going to try to provide information about the institution of the university. Hope to clarify to newcomers what the university is about in terms like tenure and majors and minors and programs of study. But I'm also going to take a critical perspective on the university. Ours is not a golden age of the university. I don't think there ever was a golden age of the university, but times have been good for universities and times have been bad for universities, and we might be in one of the fallow periods, one of the times when universities are not as robust and exciting as they should be. Why is that? Well, governments make demands on universities. University administrators and many professors have become hostile to academic values. It's the question of the social mission of the university versus its academic mission. The university, I think, can be a place for thinking hard about difficult matters and thinking hard about difficult matters just for the hell of thinking hard about difficult matters. I call that liberal study. Liberal study requires intellectual autonomy and moral autonomy. Intellectual autonomy is the ability and the willingness and the courage to think for oneself. Moral autonomy is the ability, willingness, and courage to value for oneself. In subsequent lectures, I'll talk more about intellectual and moral autonomy, what they are, how we respect them, and what the criticisms of thinking about oneself as morally and intellectually autonomous might be. If one prizes one's own moral and intellectual autonomy and values the moral and intellectual autonomy of others, what sorts of practices will emerge in an institution like a university? What would a university look like that valued moral and intellectual autonomy, thinking for oneself and valuing for oneself? And how would it be organized and what would be central to its culture? Why support such a university? Well, I think there are in general two reasons. On the one hand, it prepares people for their roles in society who can think for themselves, who aren't beholden to trends and the social and political pressures that we all face. On the other hand, research from a university that values intellectual and moral autonomy would be trustworthy, unlike research that's conducted in order to serve some specific goal. Now, the history of a university, I think, is the history of compromise, a history of compromise of the academic mission with other missions that the university serves. The first problem is to see the compromise as a compromise and not as a way of fulfilling the academic mission. And the second problem is to understand what compromises can negatively affect the academic mission. Now, I'll leave with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Emerson said, "Let the Stoics say what they please. We do not eat for the good of living, but because the meat is savory and the appetite is keen." Likewise, in sort of an institution that I'll try to describe, we don't study for the sake of education or for the sake of jobs or for anything like that. We study because the topics are compelling and the investigation is joyous.